often marvel at the synchronicity of the universe, the ingenious way that God brings people together. John Alston, our piano player, and I were at a dinner for the Judeo-Christian Outreach Center, which feeds the homeless. And out of about a couple of hundred people, who sits next to us but this man with a book, carrying a book with a picture of Sai Baba, who we recognized. And we got to talking, and we found that we had acquaintances in common, and that surely this man was one of us. So we decided to bring him home. This man is our speaker today. His name is Ravi. And Ravi has been initiated into spirituality through the Sathya Sai Center of Hampton Roads, where he has held several positions in the last 25 years. He owes his gratitude to his divine master, Bhagawan Sathya Saibaba, for his guidance and grace. Professionally, he is a professor and chair in the Department of Computer Science at Old Dominion University, where he has been teaching for the last 33 years. He has also been a regular member of our fellowship now for the past year. We are happy to have Ravi as our speaker today. He speaks from the soul and heart and inspires us all. Welcome, Ravi.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Yes. Before I start, I would like to offer my humble and loving salutations at the lotus feet of our Divine Master, Father and Mother, Sri Sathya Saibaba. I would also like to thank my wife of last 40 years, who has been not only the life partner, but also a spiritual partner in this path of spirituality. And she is really the encouraging force behind me. So if I forget to meditate, she keeps reminding me that, have you meditated today? So my sincere and loving thanks to her. And also thanks to the people here, Suzanne and everyone else, Sharon, who have invited me to be speaker here. So before I start, I have a disclaimer. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a psychologist. I am not a counselor. So whatever I am going to speak today about being fearless is just out of what I have learned during this spiritual path. So these are my experiences, and this is what I have learned. So that is what I wish to share with all of you. So, well, love has been brought throughout this session. So Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba says, start the day with love, fill the day with love, end the day with love. That's the way to God. So let's start with that. Also, love is God, God is love, and live in love. We all know this. Now, you all may wonder, well, he is bringing in love, but his topic is fearlessness. How does fear and love, God, or fear and love go together? So that is what I'll try to expound today. Now, love is, of course, we all know that love is not just limited to human beings. And we see in the animal kingdom, actually, they show much more love than the human beings many times. Many times, you see more selfless love in the animal kingdom than the humans itself. In fact, it is also extended beyond the animal kingdom. Even the trees, plants show lots of love. For example, when a beautiful flower blooms, the plant is out of love for us, it's blooming, or just to express love, it is blooming. And a fruit yields fruit, a tree eats fruit, just because out of love it gives out the fruit. So whatever is happening in this universe, whether it is action, thought, or word, it's all coming out of love. So now for example, so love is the source of all feelings. So it's very easy to understand how love is the source of feelings such as compassion, mercy. It's very easy to understand that. Happiness, joy, yes, it's all love. Now the question is, if all feelings generate from love, how can you say that hate, greed, jealousy, do you think that these are also sources? Is love the source for that? And my contention and experience is that yes, they are the source. Now, how do these differ? The main difference comes because there is selfish love and there is unselfish love. Out of the unselfish love or unconditional love is where we get the joy, the bliss, happiness, compassion, mercy. All these are coming out of the unselfish love. Now, where does fear, for example, fear, hatred, jealousy, they all come from selfish love. Now, you may say, well, we are really confused. How do you say that these are coming from love? So let's take, for example, I love myself too much. I do love myself too much, and somebody has something which I don't have. Because I love myself too much, and then I love myself more than other person has something that I don't have, therefore I have jealousy for them. Or I strongly believe in a concept or theory or belief, something, and somebody doesn't agree with me, therefore I don't like them. So the love for my own belief created a hatred for the other person. Or they love something and therefore I don't like it and therefore there is a problem. So if you look at like this, no matter what feeling we take, all feelings come from love. So therefore, because the topic today is being fearless, so fear also, my contention is that it comes from love. So let us see how that is shown. Again, fear is really a manifestation of selfish love. For example, if you take a mother, for example, the boy is a small child going to school, she may be worried. So again, here I'm using the word worry, anxiety, fear synonymously. Okay? So for example, mother is going to school, so she's worried, oh, will he be all right? I hope he's not bullied by somebody, things like that. So this fear or anxiety has come because she loves the child. But in some sense, it is a selfish love. Because suppose her child is not going to school, somebody else's child is going to school, neighbor's child is going to school. Will she worry or will she fear to the same extent? No. For example, let's say there was some lockdown at a school, and in the TV they are showing that, oh, there is a lockdown at the school because there is an active shooter incident and all that. All the parents immediately, the parents whose children are going to that school will immediately panic in fear, because their child is going to that school. Suppose the same thing is happening across some other town it is happening, or some other country it is happening, we don't have the same fear. Maybe we'll say, oh, we feel really bad for them. So our feeling is not that much. So the fear really comes out of having selfish love. Okay? Now the next thing is that can love overcome fear? Okay? And we have seen many incidents, we heard of so many incidents in the newspaper or in Google, whatever it is. We saw a lot of incidents where mothers have gone out of their way to fight wild animals. For example, in Florida, we heard of mothers who fought alligators, and some fought bears in the wild, and even panthers. They were able to fight. And if you take the same mother, same woman, and just take her there, she'll be very much afraid. But the fact that her own child's life has come to be endangered, that love for the child became her strength. So suddenly from nowhere, even though physically she may not be capable of fighting any of these animals, she goes out and fights and actually has won in all these cases. She was able to rescue the child. So that means fear can actually be overcome by love. Okay? Even though in this case we may think it is a selfish love, because if it is some other child, she may not do the same thing. If it is because it is my child, I am going to do this. Okay? So in that sense, yes, we can overcome fear. For example, she had fear for the animal in the beginning, but her love for the child overcame the fear. And therefore, she was able to conquer the fear and take care of the action right there and save her child, for example. So it is possible for the love to overcome fear. The next thing is that rain. Let's take an example of rain, just for an example. See, the pristine rain, the clouds, when the temperature is, everything is right, the clouds start raining, and the water is pure, assuming the atmosphere is not polluted, pure water is coming out of the sky. Now, what happens to the rain that's coming up? Some of it falls in lakes and rivers, and which is very good because we can drink the water and it is sustaining all the humanity and dogs and animals and so many it sustains. Some of the rain falls in oceans, for example, or seas, and that is salty, not usable for us, but maybe some fish, the sea animals, they can live on it, so it's good. But some of it also falls in sewers and dirt. And some of them, actually, it becomes a nuisance for us because, mosquitoes might grow there and they could give a lot of infections for us. So you may say, well, the same rain, when it fell right on rivers and lakes, it became a sustaining to the humanity. When it fell in the sea, it's not useful to the humans, but at least it is useful to the living beings, everything else in the seas. But the one that falls into the sewer and dirt, it becomes useless. So love is exactly like that. This love is one. Just like rain is one, love is one. When it falls on the right place, like rivers, then it becomes mercy, compassion, happiness, joy, bliss, everything. But if it falls on the sea like this salty, like for example a unselfish love, sometimes it is useful. It is useful to, for example, it was useful to the child, for example. Selfish love was useful because that is what rescued the child from this animal. So it is good. But many of it will fall on the marshes, just fall on the dirt, sewers, and that is what comes of greed, jealousy, hatred, anger, fear. Okay? Love is one, but depending on where it is placed, it comes out to be as a different entity. So that is what it is. So therefore, if we want to solve the problem of fear, if we want to be fearless, we have to understand first love. Because only when we understand love, because that is the underlying basis for everything, then we can understand fear, and then we know how to become fearless. So next question is, do we have any guidance from scriptures? Because world religions, there are so many religions in the world. Do we get any guidance in this business of getting fearless? That's a question. And the answer is yes, because fear is not today, it has been there forever. So obviously they have. So for example, Sai Baba says, why fear when I'm here? That is what Sathya Saibaba says. And Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that those who have one-pointed devotion to me do not have to fear because I will take care of that. That is the assurance given by Lord Krishna. And A Course in Miracles says there is no time, no state where God is not there. So there is nothing to be feared because He is everywhere all the time. So that is the assurance given in Course in Miracles. And Bible says, the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? So God in all religions, spoken through so many texts, has assured us continuously throughout the centuries, ever since man has been born, that I am here, don't worry about it, no fear, have no fear. But in spite of which we keep fearing, now therefore we need to have a more practical to handle this business. So going back, let's look at, now the question many people said, oh, with COVID, I'm so much worried and all that stuff. The question we have to ask is, all this time until the COVID came, until March 15th or whatever it is, we were fearless. Suddenly from March 15th, we became fearful. Suppose somebody claims that, then I have to give him a Nobel Prize. Because fear has been there with us from day one. Okay? Only thing is, as an infant, we didn't think, and therefore the only need they had to meet was the physical needs. And mother or whoever it is was there, taking care of the physical needs, no worry. But as they grew, they were worried about it, but they knew that they could depend on the parents. Parents were their thing. Now we grew further, we became young men, and then we said, oh, my friends are going to help me, they are my support, I have no fear. If I have fear, they'll take care of me. Because now we are going beyond parents. And now we grow even further, and then we become parents. And now we don't know who we turn to. I am worried about my children, I am worried about this, I am worried about, who do we turn to? Parents can't help us, friends can't help us, then who do we turn for help? And that is where maybe some of us turn to God and say, oh my God, because we need you because we have no other way to go except you. Because parents can't help, friends can't help, who else can help us? That is sometimes, some of us may turn to God at that time, at that stage, at least at that stage. So now the question is, we also have to find out what is the power of mind and what is its role in having this fear in us. What is the role of mind? And for example, Sai Baba says, the root cause of fear is the absence of pure and sacred thoughts in the minds of men. Again, as he said, here the word men doesn't means all human beings. So he says that absence of pure and sacred thoughts is a primary reason for having fear in your minds. That's what Sai Baba says. And it is also said that, I will say in Sanskrit and then I'll tell you what it means. It says, Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam Bandhamokshaya, which says that mind alone is responsible for your bondage and liberation. And here, for example, fear in some sense is a bondage actually. It's not a liberation. It's due to bondage that we have fear. So mind is a key for this. And Patanjali, many of you do yoga. And Patanjali, you all know, most of you know. And he says that yogaha chitta vritti nirodha, meaning that yoga is a means to control the wavering mind. Means all these experts of the past recognize that mind is the cause of all these problems, the fear or everything else. Therefore, if somehow we can make the mind unwavering, steady, then all problems will be solved. That's what they realized. So that is why yoga is one of the means of making the mind steady, and therefore maybe the fear will go away. That's one of the things. And also it is said that equanimity is yoga. So if you have equanimous, if you say that, good or bad, same thing to me, then that itself is yoga. You don't, because many times we think that yoga means all the physical exercises, but yoga is really beyond that. The next question is, well, now that you said mind is the reason for liberation and bondage is also the reason for fear, is there any, or do you have any practical ways of controlling this mind or making this sort of steady? That's a question we have. Because if you want to become fearless, we have to know how do I control the mind so that it becomes fearless. So let's take the example of a child, small child. Sometimes children, they play around in the kitchen. They like to play around in the kitchen rather than in the playroom, right? And somehow a child got caught hold of a knife, holding tightly in their fist, right? And mother wants to ask the child to get it. But the more the mother is asking him or her to get rid of it, the more tighter they are holding because they want to hold it tight. And mother is worried about it. How to get rid of this? I can't use force. So what does a mother do? Mothers are very clever. What she does is she brings a nice toy or something that the kid gets attracted to. So the moment they show this toy, the child will leave the knife and then hold on to the toy. So that means mother knows the trick, that the way to get rid of not to endanger the child from the knife is to give him a more attractive things. So we have to use the same trick to our mind. If you want to get rid of negative thoughts, we have to somehow make it attractive to positive thoughts. If we have to give up something, we must take up something. Because mind cannot be free, because the very nature of mind is to keep on going around. But the question for us is, what can we go around so that it doesn't foster fear in us? That is our question. Okay? And of course, you are all experts in this, but I just want to share my thoughts on this. So first thing is, we should be aware of the thoughts. For example, when our thoughts like the fear come, be aware that you are actually going to have this fear. Be aware that this thought is coming into your mind, and immediately try to divert the mind from that thought to a more positive thought. Okay? So first thing is awareness, because without awareness, there is no diversion. Be aware and then divert the mind. Then the question is, what do I divert the mind to? I'm worried. No, what do I divert to? I can't think of anything else. Well, there are easy ways. And one is repeat Lord's name. I mean, each of us have a popular Lord's name. Whatever name you have in mind, for example, take the name, keep on chanting it, keep on chanting it. Believe it or not, in few minutes, the mind suddenly forgets the fearful thought it had before. Suddenly it gets immersed in the thought that you are having. And then it tries to associate itself with the Lord. And then for no reason it just forgets it. You're not doing anything special. You are just introducing Lord's name into the mind, and therefore somehow it forgets the fear that it had before. Nothing has changed. Situation has not changed. Situation is exactly the same. But the mind now became fearless because it forgot all about it. Okay? Now it may come back later, because mind is not so, you can't fool it that easy. So then that means every time it tries to come back, we must use some mechanism to divert it. Okay? And for example, some people like to do service, for example. Doing some work, that may be a good idea. And some people may like to meditate, right? So which is a good idea too. But you may say that, well, I can't meditate, I'm not good at meditation. Maybe service is good for you. Maybe you'll go to the kitchen and cook something, or go and clean something. Because some people love to clean. So the moment they start cleaning, they concentrate so much in cleaning that they forget all about this fearful thought they had. So you could do anything that can divert the mind from this negative thought of fear to a positive thinking. And the most important thing is, keeping good company is a very extremely important thing. Okay? Because if I'm in company of people who are fearful, okay, then you talk to, oh, I'm worried. Oh, yes, COVID is killing thousands of people. Oh, no, this is the end of the world. You can talk to people. On the other hand, you can talk to people where, it will be all right. Things have come like this in centuries. Things like this have come. They have gone. These are like passing clouds. Don't worry about it. That could be. So it's very important whenever we are in such a state of fear. It's important that we keep good company and and same thing, for example, you say company doesn't necessarily mean people. For example, let's say you put on a channel, for example, in television, for example, and it's all giving out these fears, these statistics, that statistics, and then you really start worrying about it now. Maybe it started as a mustard seed, your fear, and now it becomes a big cantaloupe. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger because the bad company called this channel, which is giving out fear, maybe enhancing your fears. So please, so one thing is to keep good company is extremely important when we are trying to do some good things, such as becoming fearless. Okay? And other main thing is, this is really the bottom line of it, is we have to remember our divine Father's omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence. Okay? Because he is everywhere. Does he not know this is happening? Does he know how to control it? Yes. Can he not take care of the fear I have? Yes, he will. He will do it at his time, and he has a purpose for this. Anything I'm worried about, anything I'm fearful of, at that instant, I must remember his name. I must remember his potence. I must remember his presence. Okay? And most importantly, the other idea we have is that ignorance is the other cause of fear, ignorance. Okay? Now, what kind of ignorance are we talking about? We are not talking about ignorance of, oh, why that happened. That's not the ignorance we are talking about. The ignorance is, who am I really? Who am I really? So if we really understand it, most of you know it already. I am not this body, because body is just made of these bones and flesh and blood and all these things. I cannot be this. I cannot be such a useless thing like this, which is temporal. Body is very temporal. I cannot be. And I cannot be the senses, because as I get older, the senses stop working. I can't hear, I can't see well. That means I cannot be that. But I am still there even when I'm old age. When I say 80, I stop hearing. Of course, I may use hearing aids, but still they have stopped working. I cannot be those senses because they are temporary. I cannot be the mind, because mind is keeping on wavering. One day it's top of the Himalayas, and the very next moment it's bottommost of the whatever it is. So I cannot be the mind because I'm a very stable guy, whoever that I am. And I'm not the intelligence or buddhi, what we call the discriminating element. I am really the soul. I am really the spirit. I am the love. I am the God that is within me. We said, that's what we said, that's what we have said at the beginning, very beginning chanting, we had that. God is in you, right? In what form is he in? He is in the form of love. And if I am love, then who is worried about what? We have to wonder, who is fearing? Maybe mind is fearing, so what? I am not the mind, so why do I have to fear about it? So fear can't touch me if I am the God inside me. So this is another, but this is a little difficult to do, practice. This is a little difficult practice. And suddenly when you see something, you can say, you can think all this, And many of these, of course, needs practice, continuous practice. So better thing is to have some practical methods that we talked about before, so that immediately we can take care of things. Okay. And the next thing is there are some stories from the past, for example, of how faith can overcome fear. For example, this is an old story. In olden days, it happened in olden days. In a village, there was a small child who has to go to school. And unlike today, where no matter where you are, school bus comes and takes you. That's the advantage of today's kids. But hundreds of years ago, there were no school buses. There were no buses. There were no cars. Kids had to walk to go by foot. They had to go to school. So this child was worried. He has to go through a forest in order to go to his school. So he was really worried, and it's all dark and all that. So he had fear of going to school. So he told mom, no, I'm not going to school. I'm not going to school. She'll say, hey, why do you not want to go to school? Well, I see a lot of devils. I'm really worried. It's all dark. But mother problem is she's alone and she can't go because she has to do a lot of other work. So she has to come up with a trick. So what she said is, you have an older brother. You have an older brother. His name is Krishna. His name is Krishna, and he wears a feather. He wears a peacock feather. And whenever you are worried, just call on him. He will help you. Don't worry about it. Okay? And obviously, the little child, they have more faith in mothers than anything else. So he clearly believed that that's the case. So next day morning, he started going to school. And then suddenly when he came for us, again he felt the fear. He felt a strong fear. Oh no, animals may be there, this may be there, that may be there, what should I do? Then he remembered his mom's words that call on your brother Krishna. So he loudly shouts, Krishna, Krishna, brother Krishna, can you come? Suddenly somebody appears. Krishna appears. A boy, a bigger boy, his brother appears. And he has a peacock feather to recognize, so this guy can recognize. He said, yeah, my brother has come. Well, they go, he crosses the thing, and brother Krishna will be giving him all nice stories to engage this guy. And same thing, brother Krishna says, oh, don't worry about it. When school is over, just call on me, I will come. So when the school is over again, he says, brother Krishna, come. So every day this is going on. And now suddenly after some time, mother notices that this child is no longer complaining about fear. So she wonders, hey, what is happening? So she asks, hey, are you not afraid to cross this forest now? You are going to... She said, no, our brother Krishna is always coming. So now she's wondering, she made a fictitious thing of Krishna. There is really no brother. Then he said, no, our brother is comes. And now she says, okay, he must be hallucinating. So he says, okay, today why don't you bring Krishna, your brother, to us so he can have some dinner with us? So when he is coming back, he tells, hey, brother, why don't you come with me? So brother comes along. And then he brings mother. Mother says, hey, you didn't bring. No, Krishna is right here. Krishna is right here. So the boy is able to see Krishna in the brother's form. Mother is unable to see because the boy has a faith. The boy has a faith that Lord is going to help. Of course, he didn't hear the word Lord. For him is just brother Krishna. But Lord Krishna came in his form. Thing is, as we grew up, we lost that faith. So if we have that faith, he will come, no question. Now, I know we have few minutes, so I just want to conclude here with what is that we have to do. Definitely, fear is a manifestation of selfish love. Okay? So if only we can make our love unselfish or pure love, then fear will go away. That's one thing. And replace fear with faith in mind. I think that is the best trick. Faith in what? Faith in the omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence of our Divine Father. Because our parents, biological parents, may not be able to help us. They may not be even here on earth right now, because most of us are older, it doesn't matter. They can't help us. But the Divine Father and Divine Mother, He's always there. He will help us. And the trick to fool the mind is to be aware of these fearful thoughts and immediately divert it to a more positive thought. And keep company of the fearless. Company is the most important thing. Company in the form of human beings, in the company in the form of news that we read or hear or see, whatever it is. That's the most important thing also. And finally, Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that fearless and equanimity are basic prerequisites for liberation. So he says that unless you have equanimity and fearlessness, you are not going to reach salvation or liberation. And all of us, if suppose we ask who wants liberation, all of us will raise our hands. So he says that unless you are fearless, you won't be liberated. Not because there is somebody standing there and say, oh, fearless. Our own mind is the one which is going to cause us. So with that, we hope that, I hope there are enough clues or enough hints. Again, most of these are from my own experience. And hopefully we become more fearless and more courageous and live the rest of our life in a more happy, blissful, and joyful life. Thank you very much.